Wow, time just flies by, especially it feels like as you get older. Because here we are, it's the end of December, and we're talking about week 17 of the NFL season. Like, this is the last week of the regular season. And for 20 teams, the season ends after Sunday. This feels like it was yesterday. We were talking about looking ahead to the season to come and talking about playoff prospects and all this other stuff. And now here we are. The playoff fields for both conferences are mostly set. Still some moving pieces within that. So it's time to once again pull together and give you my picks for week 17, this final week of the regular season. I'm going to start off with the early games on Sunday. Just kind of rapid fire through this. The Jets travel to Buffalo to take on the Bills. Give me the Bills minus the one, even if they're resting people. Doesn't really matter. The Jets suck and Adam Gase should be fired. You got the Browns traveling to Cincinnati to take on the Bengals. This is kind of one of these interesting matchups. The Browns have nothing to play for. The Bengals have nothing to play for. And even if you say, well, the Browns should beat them easily, they're only 2-point favorites on the road because a lot of people probably, especially money in Vegas, is thinking that the Browns could fold like a house of cards here. And I tend to agree, especially considering now that the Bengals have clinched the number one overall pick in next year's draft, they can play to win this game, and it has absolutely no impact on them. It doesn't hurt draft position. Now they can play for pride. They can make a last statement. Players are trying to sit there and solidify their spots with the Bengals or with another team in 2020, so on and so forth. It's one last gasp for Andy Dalton. It's a one last audition. I really like the Bengals in this game. And when you talk about Week 17 divisional rivalries, anything can happen. Give me the Bengals to win plus the 2. The Packers travel to Detroit to take on the hurting and woebegone Detroit Lions. Give me Green Bay minus the 12 all day because they still have something to play for. They are trying to clinch first round bye, home field advantage potentially throughout the playoffs, depending on how things play out Sunday. So they got plenty at stake here. Give me the Packers minus the 12. Give me the Chiefs over the Chargers minus the 9. Give me the Bears minus 3 over the Vikings. It sounds like the Vikings are going to rest several players. And as a result, it sounds exactly like the type of game where the Bears want to go in there and save some face and show their Bear pride in Week 17 when it doesn't fucking matter. So, yeah, it's exactly the type of game where you'll see Trubisky throw for like 210 yards and 2 touchdowns, and people will be giving him the anointing oil and say, man, what a great momentum for 2020, and all that doesn't matter. But I think Bears win. Give me the Bears minus the 3. Give me the Patriots minus 16.5 over the Dolphins. Give me the Falcons in a slight upset plus the 1 to win over the Buccaneers, especially with the news that Dan Quinn and Dimitroff are going to be retained in 2020. Maybe this Falcons team that's playing a little better in recent weeks is going to want to win one for their coach and for themselves, so I'll take Atlanta to win. Give me the Saints to beat the Panthers, but 13-point spread on the road. I kind of actually like the Panthers to cover this, and I would assume they're going to force feed McCaffrey the ball in the air a lot, trying to get to 1,000 receiving yards. So give me the Saints to win, but give me Carolina to cover the 13-point spread. Your late Sunday games, where in a couple of cases it gets really, really interesting. You've got Oakland traveling to Denver to take on the Broncos. All these Raiders fans talking about Week 16 and all these things that happened that needed to happen, and they still have a chance. Well, it'll be great to see when those things don't happen in Week 17, or even better, if all those other things did happen. But the one thing that didn't was the Raiders didn't win. Hell yeah, give me the Broncos minus the 3 in this game. Let's ride Drew Lock to the promised land, baby. Spank them Raiders. That's right, send them to 7-9 and shut them the hell up. Oh, they've been mostly quiet until they started to resurge a little bit after hope stayed alive. Oh, boy. Give me the Broncos minus the 3. The Cardinals travel to LA to take on the Rams. Give me the Rams minus the 5. Even though they don't have anything to play for because they've been eliminated from the playoffs. Which, again, shame on my Bears. All those other things that you needed to happen coming into Week 17 happened, except for you winning the damn games you needed to. The Colts travel to Jacksonville to take on the Jags. Give me the Colts to win, but give me the Jaguars to cover the 5-point spread. You got Pittsburgh traveling to Baltimore to take on the Ravens. Lamar Jackson's sitting. Sure, other guys are going to rest as well. But even in that case, when you look at Pittsburgh in that quarterback situation, it's a must-win game for the Steelers. But you look at the Ravens, That's still a really good team. I still like the Ravens to win, even though Pittsburgh's favorite. Give me Baltimore plus the 2. You got the Titans traveling to Houston to take on the Texans. The Texans have clinched the division. They really don't have much to play for, whereas the Titans can sit there and say, hey, if we win and Pittsburgh loses, we're in. They got a lot to play for. So I like Titans here minus 6. You look at the 2 other marquee notable games, and not necessarily because of who they're playing. You got the Redskins traveling to Dallas to take on the Cowboys, and you got the Eagles traveling to New York to take on the Giants. They put them both in the 425 slot, and it's the NFC least, so of course it's going to get all this big hype. I mean, how sad and pathetic this kind of is that you're looking at this matchup to see who wins that division potentially at 8-8. Ugh. Nonetheless, this is where we are. Looking at the Redskins and the Cowboys, the Redskins will be without Terry McLaurin. Now, the Redskins are a bad team, which gives me more thoughts that the Cowboys will make sure that they handle business in Week 17. I expect the Cowboys to win. 12-point spread does seem a little big, so maybe the Redskins will cover that, but I like the Redskins to win here. I think the bigger question comes in with the Eagles and the Giants, because the Eagles barely beat the Giants on Monday night a few weeks back. If you remember, that game went to overtime, and that was with Eli as the starter. Now you're talking about going into New York, last game of the season, divisional rivalry, a team that you struggled to beat earlier on in the season. Yes, you win, and you win the division, and you're in the playoffs. You get a home playoff game and all of this. But, man, there was just something about this that makes it feel like it's a real opportunity for the Eagles to kind of fall flat on their face here in Week 17. Sorry, Eagles fans. It's just the feeling. And I may very well end up being wrong, granted, but it's just kind of like one of those weird type of feelings that I have. So give me the Giants to win plus the 3. Like, this has the potential with those 2 games to produce some high comedy. You could have the Cowboys win, the Eagles lose, and the Cowboys still win the division. You could have the Cowboys lose at home to the sorry-ass Redskins, and the Eagles win. And then it gets funnier. And funniest of all, you could get to a situation where both of those teams lose, and the Eagles still win the division. And my God, wouldn't that be something? But looking at it, anything can happen in Week 17, especially when dealing with these divisional rivals. I would not be surprised if the Cowboys win and the Eagles lose, making all that happen in Week 16 pretty pointless. And then you got the big game, the Sunday night matchup, which should be a lot of fun. You got the 49ers taking on the Seahawks. The 49ers trying to lock down home field advantage against one of the teams that beat them earlier this year when the Seahawks went into San Fran and beat them. So that was kind of a weird, quirky type of game. Now you look at this game and you would say, based off of past history, oh, you got to go in there and face the 12s, and playing in Seattle is tough. But Seattle's not been very good at home this year. They just haven't. And it's hard to know from one week to the next what you're going to get from the Seahawks. And my God, I certainly hope we get plenty of beast mode, plenty of Marshawn Lynch in Week 17. Both teams have clinched a playoff spot. They're now playing for divisional title, playing for seeding, and so forth. Still a big game. It's a meaningful game for both teams. So I'm so glad it got flexed into the Sunday night spot because it was the most logical game to do that. And in particular, I really appreciate how the NFL has put all of these divisional games at the back end of the season the last couple of weeks because they provide for some really important, significant games instead of kind of the random draw you could get in the past. In this case, the 49ers are favored by 3. I like the Seahawks to win plus the 3, win the division. It'd be a shame because whoever loses this game is going to end up as the 5 seed in the NFC and will have to travel to either the Eagles or the Cowboys in the wild card round. There's just something fundamentally stupid about that. Not that a divisional winner makes the playoffs. My beef is more with an 8 or 9 win division winner should not be hosting a 12 or 13 win wild card team. That's just dumb. That's where we're at, and that's the NFL. So those are my picks. We'll see how it works out.